Hey, Cookies here. I noticed that there is a bit of lack of information on ramping as there usually is, at least to the specifics of it. And the raid is just about to come out at the time of recording. The raid's out in 1 day. So I just wanted to make a quick video to just go over not exactly the specifics of ramping, but we're going to do that later, like once the raid's actually out and I have more information on that. But I want to show you guys how you guys can look for yourself to find this information as the raid progresses and begins, by looking at guilds that are further progressed than you or players that are further progressed than you and using the information from their Warcraft logs to then make an educated idea of what you should be doing during your ramp and stuff like that. If you're just trying to figure out kind of like the rotation or abilities that you want to use in order and stuff. So the first thing is you're going to go to warcraftlogs.com. And then over here on the left, you're going to click on raids. We're going to go to Nerub-ar Palace. You can just hit all reports. You can also, if you're looking for a specific boss, we'll go over that in a second. And then there's just these different tabs up here at the top. We have all bosses, so you can filter it by boss if you're looking for that. You can filter it by difficulty. Obviously, for the first week, you're only going to be able to look at heroic, but for now, there was beta testing that was done at this time, so we're going to do mythic difficulty, because generally looking at the highest difficulty is going to net you the best results in terms of looking at players who are playing the class, optimally. And then next we go to all classes. We're going to go to priest and then discipline so that it only shows logs that have discipline priest in them. And then what we're going to do is I usually filter it by the guild, because I basically try to look for a guild that I'm familiar with, or maybe a player that uploaded. Like you can see Kalamazzi uploaded one if you're familiar with Warlocks and stuff like that. But anyways, we're going to filter it by guild, and then I'm just going to kind of look for a guild that stands out to me that I remember. We're going to set it to, let me see if I find this. Yep. So I set it to just kills. That way it just filters it down a little more. Filter it by guild. And there's denial of service here. I'm just going to do this this one because this was like the latest log that they did. This was June 28th rather than July 25th. So we're going to look at this one since this was during the beta. Oh, I accidentally clicked on the guild and not the log. So we're going to click on the name of the log right here. Then we can see the bosses that they killed or fought. We're just going to go to the Olgrax kill. And then we have our log. And we have a Disc Priest right there. So what we're going to do from here to figure out what is the Disc Priest doing in order to ramp. The first major thing that we're going to do is we want to just figure out when they were pressing evangelism, because evangelism is consistently going to be when they are ramping. So we're going to click on the Disc Priest here, just click on their name. It shows all their casts that they were pressing, all this stuff. And we are basically just going to find evangelism right here. We can press the little plus button over here on the right hand side, and then it will show little spots of where they pressed evangelism. If we'd like to, we could also do like radiance just to show those, and then you can see under each evangelism there's always 2 radiances, and then in between there's usually kind of 1 or 2 radiants that are spread out across in between each of the evangelism casts. But that's less important. That's a kind of a different topic. We're just talking about the major ramps. And then all we're going to do is next we're going to go to this up here. It says timelines. We're going to go to that. And then now what happens when we scroll down, we are going to get this little timeline bar. And it basically just shows us every spell that was cast from the beginning of the fight till the end of the fight by this player. So this isn't too helpful on its own, just looking through this. You can filter through it manually, but the easiest way to do it is you just find one of the evangelisms you want to look at, and then do 30 seconds after and 30 seconds before the ramp started. So we're going to go right here. It happened at 1 minute, so we're going to go to 1:30, and we just click and drag all the way to 30. That way we get a full minute of the ramp, basically. And then all we're going to do is now we can look at this. This obviously isn't part of the ramp. We're basically going to look through here until we see down here at this bottom row, there's evangelism. So we're going to look for the evangelism icon on this timeline, and then that will tell us when the ramp happened. So right there, we get evangelism. So now all we need to do is just rewind a little bit so that we see when we started ramping. So we go right about here where there's some smite casting, and then it looks like we go into a ramp. Again, specific abilities or what you're pressing in order to ramp aren't clear right now, to my understanding. I'm sure it's written down somewhere, but we're just using logs to review this and getting a general idea. The base idea of ramping as a Disc Priest is you are applying atonements manually, usually about 7 to 10 of those, and then you are pressing Radiance twice, and then you are pressing whatever your highest damage buttons abilities are after you press Evangelism. So it's manual atonements, 7 to 10 of them, then press Radiance twice, Evangelism, Shadow Fiend, and then press damage buttons. So we'll go over that kind of individually. So all we do is we look at this and we just go, how many atonements are they casting, to see if it kind of lines up with my base idea of 7 to 10. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we have a Radiance, 8 atonements, another Radiance, Evangelism, Shadow Fiend, Mind Blast, Penance, Shadow Word Death, Spam Smite until Penance is back up. And that is literally the entire ramp. That is where it ends, and that's all we need to be concerned with, basically. So that is how we can look at a major ramp and kind of figure out what buttons maybe we can press, or we can compare our own logs in this way by looking at them in the same way and see if it kind of resembles something similar to what this other player is doing. Another thing that I like to do, this is in my older videos, which again, I'm going to cover the specifics of ramping and what buttons you want to be pressing in what order and how best to utilize, ramp timings and all this stuff. I'm going to get really in depth with ramp, like a ramp video, once I have more knowledge on it, once the raid actually releases and I can review like VODs of people playing, and then I get to play Disc myself in the raid, get some footage, and then I will present it to you guys with a much more formal approach to how do we do a Disc Priest ramp in Season 1 of The War Within. But for now, this is how you can look it up yourself and kind of get a general idea and feel for it, so that when you go into the raid this first week or even the second week, you can go in feeling a little bit more prepared of how to look this stuff up or how to look into it to kind of judge your own or analyze your own ramps. So, again, just to go over it one more time, we're applying manual atonements. Doesn't really matter which spells we're pressing. If you want an answer to that right now, then just look in your spellbook and either Flash Heal or Renew, whichever is less mana, that's the one you're pressing. Flash Heal gives you an atonement whenever you cast it on someone else, so just spam Renew if it's cheaper mana, spam Renew on a bunch of people, and then your last atonement before you press Radiance should be a Flash Heal on someone so that you get 2 atonements out of it. So then you're Flash Healing someone, and then it also applies atonement to you, so you're getting 2 out of 1. So again, just to go over it one more time, is we go 1 manual atonement, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, press Radiance. We can apply another. Basically, the only idea here is just press any button in between your 2 Radiances in order to give yourself time to process which atonements got applied to who from the Radiance, because you don't want to accidentally target the same person twice or someone with atonement on them with Radiance, because Radiance also applies atonement to that player that you targeted. So we apply manual atonements. We're doing 7 of them, pressing Radiance, pressing a button in between. In this case, it is another atonement. I usually do my dot in between my Radiances, but it doesn't really matter as long as you're pressing something and not just standing there. Then we do our second Radiance, Evangelism, Mindbender/Shadow Fiend, Mind Blast, Penance, Shadow or Death, or go into spamming Smite until Penance is back up, press Penance, your ramp is finished, you're done. And then you just do that every minute and 30 seconds, and you're going to be well off in terms of where you are as a Disc Priest compared to a lot of people going into the raid for the first time as Disc. So I hope this helps. If you'd like more info on this, feel free to hit me up on Discord or join the Discord. I'm going to be doing log reviews in there and stuff like that regularly, so if you'd like yours checked out, let me know in there. Otherwise, keep an eye out within, hopefully, this week. By next week, for sure, week 2 of the raid release, I will have a Disc Priest, like a formal ramping video for teaching people how to ramp this season as Disc Priest, because that's something I want to maintain on my channel, because it's something that just lacks as a resource in the community. There's a lot of guides and stuff, but there's no like nitty gritty of how to actually do your big ramp, your mini ramps, all that kind of stuff as a Disc Priest. There's just general kind of guidelines of how to play the class, and people just saying, well, you just do a ramp by applying lots of atonements and then pressing buttons. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.